How's it going, everybody? Well, the 2026 NFL Draft in Pittsburgh is all wrapped up. A lot of fun to watch, but I do honestly think Green Bay was more fun, but I'm a little biased. I'll say right out the gate, I'm not a big draft prospect guy, not a big scout guy or whatever. This is the first time I'm ever doing a draft recap video, so bear with me as I go through this for the first time. I will say out the gate also that I do like this draft class. I do think this draft class has a lot of potential. Of course, we won't know for certain for a few seasons, but I do think Goody did a very good job with these guys. He addressed all the needs that the Packers had. Although I was kind of surprised not to see a tight end or running back drafted, since we don't know really what's going on with Marshawn Lloyd, with the departure of Emmanuel Wilson, Tucker Kraft still being out, possibly could miss some games at the beginning of next season. It's kind of surprising to go there, but they focused really on what the Green Bay Packers needed. And I would have to say I'm very, very happy with it. Before we get into the picks, I do want to congratulate Jayden Reed, the superstar, for getting a 3-year, $50.25 million extension. If you watch any of my videos, you know that I'm a huge Jayden Reed fan. I think he could easily be wide receiver one. I think he has everywhere to go but up. Unfortunately, the Packers were without him for a majority of last season because he got injured, but Jayden Reed, I think, in my opinion, is wide receiver one. I know it really doesn't matter to put labels on wide receivers, but I think could easily be the best wide receiver the Packers have. That's just my opinion. Of course, with the departure of Romeo Doubs and Dontavian Wicks, Jayden Reed is really going to have to step up even more and play a bigger role in this Packers offense, along with Christian Watson and Matthew Golden, and Tucker Kraft, Luke Musgrave, all these guys. But I think this is a really good decision for the Green Bay Packers to get this extension done. Of course, maybe before the season begins, we'll see an extension for Tuck and Christian Watson. I see that happening, especially now that Romeo and Wicks are gone. But congratulations, Jayden. I think Jayden Reed is definitely going to be a Packer for quite a while. Quite a while. So I'm very happy. Congratulations, Jayden. So without further ado, let's get into it with the 52nd pick. The Green Bay Packers selected a cornerback from South Carolina, Brandon Cisse. He spent 3 years in college football, 2 years with NC State, 1 year with South Carolina. Over his career, he had 65 total tackles. 41 of those were solo, and 24 of those were assisted tackles. 10 passes defended, 1 forced fumble, and 2 interceptions. He had a 4.41 40-yard dash, a 41-inch vert, and a 10-foot 11 broad jump. I think that's when they jump forward, right? Yeah. Let's see here. Could be a good run stopper. Very explosive player. I think this adds good cornerback depth. Especially a big need for the Packers was at corner. Especially now losing Nate Hobbs, the uncertainty of Carrington Valentine, the uncertainty of Keyshawn Nixon. Does he have the ability to be a day one starter? That I don't know. But I really like this pick. Very happy that the Packers addressed the biggest need right out the gate. So Brandon Cisse, the 52nd pick for the Green Bay Packers. First pick for the second pick. With the 77th pick in the NFL Draft, the Green Bay Packers selected Chris McMillan from a defensive tackle from Missouri. The Green Bay Packers traded the 84th and the 106th picks with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers for this 77th pick. He had spent 4 years in college, 2 years in Florida, 2 years in Missouri. Over his college career, he had 133 total tackles. 34 of those were solo, and 94 of those were assisted tackles. 4 passes defended, 10.5 sacks. 6 of those sacks were from last year, and 1 forced fumble. He ran a 5.05 40-yard dash, a 6.59 vertical jump, 7.21 broad jump. And this man has huge hands. That's a lot of the research I read. Big hands, big paws. We like that. I'm excited about this guy. Of course, the Packers losing a lot of guys on the line in free agency. This guy could be a great addition to the line. Very excited about this pick. So Chris McMillan at 77. Then with the 120th pick in the draft, the Green Bay Packers selected Dennis Sutton, an edge from Penn State. Of course, another Penn Stater for the Green Bay Packers, of course, alongside Micah Parsons. He had 30 starts in his 55-game career in college. He was a freshman All-American, a two-time All-Big Ten. In his career, he had 34.5 tackles for a loss, 23.5 sacks, 7 forced fumbles, and 10 pass breakups, a 4.63 40-yard dash, a 39.5 vert, and a 10-11 broad jump. I like this pick. Of course, anybody on the line or any sort of edge rusher, I'm going to be excited about. Hopefully, this guy has a lot of energy. We saw a lot of kind of a lackluster pass rush, especially when Micah went down last year. I think this guy could be a great addition to the Packers defense. I'm very excited to see him on the field. Then at pick 153, we have Jaeger Burton, a center from Kentucky. He started at all 3 interior line positions in his career at Kentucky. He ran a 4.94 40-yard dash, 50 total games in his college career. 47 of those were starts. In his last season at Kentucky, playing on the line, or at center, he had allowed 0 sacks and 0 quarterback pressures. That's huge. I think he can provide great depth in the line at all 3 positions, especially at center with the loss of Elton Jenkins. And I think he's a good insurance policy behind Sean Rhyan. I'm not saying Sean Ryan's going to be bad or anything, but great insurance, great depth. We'll see what this kid can do, but I'm very excited. This kid seems to have a really good attitude that he's not gonna be pushed around or let his quarterback be pushed around. I think that I think this kid is going to be good. So Jaeger Burton, 153 from Kentucky. Then at pick 201, the Green Bay Packers selected Dumaney Jackson, cornerback from Alabama. Of course, a lot of great players come from Alabama. He played a lot of special teams in his college career, so that's probably where he's going to start for the Packers. Of course, a lot of you start on special teams and then you work your way in, I think. He spent 2 years at USC and then the 2 years at Alabama. He started 23 of 28 games in his time at Alabama. And looking at his stats from just his last 2 years at Alabama, he had 91 total tackles, 8 pass breakups, 2 interceptions, and he ran a 4.41 at the NFL Combine and a 4.45 at Alabama's Pro Day. Great addition, great depth at cornerback. A lot of competition, I think, in the secondary for the Packers when it comes to training camp. I don't think that Keyshawn Nixon or anybody's going to give up their job all willy-nilly, but I think this adds a lot of great competition, which is exactly what the Packers need, especially in the secondary. From all the issues the Packers had in the secondary last season, Valentine struggled. We all, of course, know Keyshawn Nixon struggled. But I think this is a good addition to the CB room for the Packers. Then, with the last pick, the 6th player taken for the Green Bay Packers, they traded both 7th round picks to pick at the last spot in the 6th round. Pick 216, Trey Smack, kicker from Florida. Of course, kicker was a big issue for the Green Bay Packers pretty much ever since Mason Crosby retired, but especially in recent years. All the losses that the Packers could have avoided had they had a competent kicker. This brings competition to, in my opinion, one of the biggest need. Of course, cornerback is a big need. Defensive line, edge is big need. Kicker, for me, was the biggest need for the Green Bay Packers. All you have to do is look back at the last game the Green Bay Packers had, the playoff loss against the Bears in Soldier Field. Had McManus just made one of those kicks, the Green Bay Packers would have moved on. And you look at multiple other games that had Brandon McManus just made one or two of those kicks, the Packers have a better record. But this was a very big need. So, of course, the Green Bay Packers trade to get Trey Smack from Florida. Matt LaFleur was saying that Trey Smack was the best kicker on their board during the draft. He was the first kicker taken in the draft, so that's interesting. Of course, he was just the fourth kicker that the Green Bay Packers have drafted in the last 36 years. 36 years. Only 4 kickers drafted. And that's with Conway in 1997, Mason Crosby in 2007, and, of course, Anders Carlson in 2023. Looking at Trey Smack, some of his stats, he was 53 of 64 in his time at Florida, 82.8%. He was 10 of 13 from over 50 yards. That's pretty good. That is a school record for him. He is good when it comes to adversity. I made a note here. In the Florida Gators opener in 2025, he went 0 for 3. And then for the rest of the season, he went 17 of 18 for the rest of the year. So he started out very, very bad, but picked it right up and was excellent. This is obviously something we're going to watch. We're gonna have to watch kickers again this offseason in training camp, but that's okay. I'm very excited. Trey Smack is probably one of the, the most excited I've ever been to see a kicker come off the board. I think this is a great addition. The competition is going to be very interesting to watch in training camp. Of course, we knew the Green Bay Packers weren't just going to get rid of Brandon McManus all willy-nilly because they signed him to a 3-year deal before the season started, which I think was a mistake, but that's just me and probably other people. But I think Trey's a great addition. I really do. It'll be very interesting to see how he performs. Of course, it's very different kicking in Florida than it is kicking in Lambeau or in the Midwest or in the NFL in general. Of course, I think he went viral for like a 65-yarder earlier last year, but I'm excited to get some competition at the kicker position. Training camp is definitely going to be a lot of fun with all of these new guys coming in. The competition is going to be real, and it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. I want to end the video with just what we have for the current list of undrafted free agents and the current list for the rookie minicamp. This is per Easton Butler on Twitter, so I think it's accurate, but we'll just go through them very quickly. Quarterback Kyron Drones from Virginia Tech. He'll come in and battle out for the second, third spot or whatever with Desmond Ridder to try to fill a pretty big hole left by Malik Willis when he left to go to Miami. And then we have running back Jaden Nixon from UCF. We have wide receiver J. Michael Sturviant from Florida. Tight end R.J. Maryland from SMU. Tight end Eni Falai. I hope I pronounced that right. I probably didn't. I'm sorry. He's from Wake Forest. We have offensive lineman Dylan Wade from Auburn. Offensive lineman Josh Geske from Illinois. Offensive lineman Dylan Barrett from Iowa State. Edge rusher Nijalek Kelly from UCF. Linebacker TJ Quinn from Louisville. And safety Mervyn Kenyon III from Nevada. So those are the current undrafted free agents as of right now. Actually, those as of a couple hours ago. Like I said, per Easton Butler on X. And then the current rookie minicamp invitations are offensive lineman Dane Walter from UW La Crosse, so local guy. That's pretty awesome. Safety Javon Gaston from Middle Tennessee. And then we have long snapper Brett Welsing from Drake, long snapper Spencer Triplett from UNC, and then punter Caleb Junko from Pitt. So, that's all I have for this short little recap video for the Green Bay Packers 2026 draft. Of course, like I said at the beginning of the video, we're not going to know if any of these guys really pan out for a couple of years, but I am very excited about this draft. I think a lot of these guys are going to make a huge impact for the Packers. Of course, we'll see what the rest of the offseason brings. Could have some other free agent signings, especially maybe at running back or tight end. We'll kind of see how that all works out. And then coming up, we're going to have, of course, schedule release next month. I don't think they gave an exact date during the draft. They did last year. I don't know if they did this year, but we'll do that. That's coming up. And then we really get into the silence of the off season. They have mandatory mini camp, rookie mini camp, all that fun stuff. But that all doesn't come until late May, early June. And then training camp, of course, in July and August. So a little bit of silence now from the NFL, probably, until the schedule comes out, and then that'll be fun, and then it will be quiet again. But if you made it to the end of the video, I appreciate you watching. I will see you guys later on next month for the schedule release. So look forward to that. Thanks for watching. Go Pack Go.